Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, joined by Phil Chambers from WhatCulture to tell you what went down at Survivor Series. And, well, what went down, Phil, was kind of a weird, disjointed show that was concluded by a sort of 35-minute promo that saw us say goodbye, we think, to The Undertaker.
Yeah, it was very weird. All the Raw versus SmackDown stuff ended in a draw. There was a battle royal that meant absolutely nothing, where Raw people eliminated Raw people, SmackDown eliminated SmackDown people, but it was still brand warfare. And then something that we all kind of assumed that would lead to some kind of storyline, at least in the final farewell, didn't lead to anything and was just a final farewell. But, I mean, we'll get that to there, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose we should do this really in order and conclude with the final farewell, because it almost felt separate from Survivor Series. Well, let's start on the pre-show with the dual brand Battle Royal. Again, as Phil pointed out, yes, there were, I think, 9 people from SmackDown, 9 people from Raw in this. But aside from literally The Miz and John Morrison, I can't think of anyone else who wore branded T-shirts in that match. Like Elias.
Apollo Crews had blue trunks.
Well, we'll count that. Then again, Jeff Hardy had a blue face paint and a blue top on, and Chad Gable had red, white, and blue singlet, I suppose. But
yeah, nobody cares about Raw or SmackDown.
Utterly pointless. It was won by The Miz anyway. He last eliminated Dominic Mysterio, who actually had a really good sort of closing sequence when they thought The Miz had been eliminated. Dominic Mysterio and Chad Gable. Turns out, Phil, Chad Gable's quite a good wrestler.
Who knew?
Great little finishing sequence for them. Dominic Mysterio eventually hoying Chad Gable out of the ring, celebrating because he thought he won. Of course, The Miz pops up, chucks him out, and he's the real winner. And we think, oh my God, is The Miz going to get 2 wins tonight at the start and end of this show? Let's start on the proper card, though, because we decided, because they didn't. I mean, they didn't count any matches. There was no scorecard that appeared at any point during this show. But anyway, we started with the first Raw versus SmackDown match. It was the men's 5-on-5 elimination match, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. And Phil, not a great start to the show for you as Team SmackDown.
No, I was thoroughly expecting a SmackDown victory for this, because let's face it, SmackDown is way better than Raw in every way, shape or form. And even going into this, like, you just pick the SmackDown guys because it makes sense. And in this, well, it was 5-0 to Raw. It was a clean sweep. Raw had no eliminations. SmackDown, everyone got eliminated. Can't even remember who got eliminated first. It was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins got eliminated first because he knelt down in the middle of the ring and offered himself up as a sacrifice, as a martyr, who knows. And then Sheamus road kicked him and pinned him, but not before he got his taunt in, because you've got to do that when someone is literally offering yourself up to you in the middle of the ring. And it was, that was probably the high point for Team SmackDown.
Yeah, I think when your team captain does that, you're in real trouble. I've got to be honest. Whether or not it's for the greater good. Obviously, Seth Rollins hopefully going off now, taking some time away and being with Becky Lynch while she gives birth to their child. So not going to hate on him for that. Just sort of a weird way for it to go down, I suppose. Anyway, next up in the eliminations was Kevin Owens. They actually gave a bit of time to them to just wrestle. AJ Styles eventually hitting him with the phenomenal forearm after everyone did the usual thing of, I'm going to run in and you're going to hit me and I'm going to hit you and you're not going to see who's the legal man, and bang, phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3. Then King Corbin got eliminated. Riddle hit the floating bro on him. Otis got a bit of shine in there. Even had a bit of a moment with Keith Lee.
It was a weird moment with Keith Lee. They tried to do something, but they've just both been told, you'll both be really big guys, just don't be able to pick each other up. And then when they did finally do it, it just wasn't a whole thing. And Keith Lee is better than that. If you just let Keith Lee and Otis go, it would be incredible. But they did not do that. And Otis ended up getting lifted off the top rope by Braun Strowman, hit the running power slam. And that was Otis, which left Jey Uso on his own to take on the entirety of Team Raw.
He did pretty well. He put up a valiant bit of offense. Didn't eliminate anyone, though. No. And then eventually got caught. Keith Lee does things that he makes it look so easy, Phil. Jey Uso came off the top and we thought, what's he going to do here? Is he going to pounce him out of thin air? Is he going to do some, the spirit bomb, grabbing him and doing... and he just caught him like he was nothing, and then lifted him up into the Spirit Bomb, and 1, 2, 3. Yet again, Keith Lee just going it's starting in Survivor Series, going, I'm really good if you give me a chance. You know?
But Keith Lee had new music as well, so at least maybe that's something for Keith Lee. But yeah, just the way he caught Jey Uso, like he didn't even move. He just stood there, and Jey Uso just landed on his shoulders, and then it's like, okay, and then up into Powerbomb, Spirit Bomb, done. It was absolutely incredible. If you're going to watch any of that match, ignore all of it except for the last 5 seconds.
Then it was the tag team match, the New Day versus the Street Profits. Big E came out with Raw guys. He came out dressed as the Gears of War things, and then just left after that, whilst the Street Profits were backstage shouting about. Shawn might have singing Sexy Boy, and
Montez Ford had an Undertaker hat that was blue, so there was that.
Yeah, and then they got to it, and it was just a really good match. Loads of really exciting kick-outs of all the big moves, basically. I feel like there was even more that they could do. I feel like they maybe left a tiny bit in the tank for something bigger potentially down the line, but a sensational match, Phil.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, they went through it all. I liked the fact that the New Day did the Midnight Hour on it, but because it wasn't Big E doing the final blow of it, which was like the big ending, like they didn't get the 1, 2, 3, and the way they explained that was really, really well done. But yeah, this was just a great show between two fantastic tag teams. Obviously, it ended with Montez Ford hitting the big frog splash for the victory at the end. And yeah, just really good stuff. And then at the end of it, they all just celebrated together, hugged. Like, you always knew that they were both big babyface teams going into this, so you knew they were just going to hug it out at the end. And this was definitely the right decision for the right tag team. And yeah, there's loads more they could do with this in the future. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think Montez Ford even hit Kofi with a Trouble in Paradise at one point.
He did, yeah.
They eventually caught the New Day after lots of exciting reversals and kickouts, like we said, and we nibbled on quite a few of them. Blockbuster, in the end, finished them off and gave the Street Profits the win, as Phil said. So that's 1-1. And then a match where I felt relatively confident for once, with Team Raw potentially winning, that being Bobby Lashley, United States Champion, versus Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn. And Sami tried his damnedest. He ran away. He taunted all of the Hurt Business, the babyface team seemingly in this match, who were out there to threaten Sami Zayn. He tried everything, got a little bit of offense in, but it's Bobby Lashley in the WWE. What do you expect? And then who's he? Sami Zayn even was sort of backing off whilst the referee was distracted with Bobby Lashley, making sure he can't leave the ring to go after him. Sami Zayn feigned a trip over MVP's leg, and then MVP went, oh bollocks, and just threw him back in the ring, straight into the Hurt Lock for the submission victory. The right decision, even though you weren't happy about it, Phil.
Yeah, this one makes sense, doesn't it? It's like, it's Bobby Lashley, that's the poster boy, as Sami Zayn said on SmackDown. But plenty of this Sami Zayn shenanigans. He tried to get the ring turnbuckle pads off as well, but I think it was it Shelton Benjamin or someone stepped up to him and was like, nope, you're not doing that. But it was very much the heel versus heel dynamic never really works very well, and the fact that it was 4 people ganging up on this very squirrely little heel was a little bit weird. But yeah, probably the right decision in the end, and Bobby Lashley winning it pretty decisively when he got him in the Hurt Lock at the end. Yeah,
I think Sami Zayn wanted the old VAR check.
He did, yeah.
Never was forthcoming, and I also really enjoyed Sami Zayn shouting at Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander and sort of causing them to corpse halfway through. So
he tried his best,
I suppose. Next up, it was a match we've seen quite a lot, but was still bloody brilliant, unsurprisingly. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. What do you reckon to this, Phil?
Yeah, this was really good. Obviously, it's the boss, Sasha Banks, going up against Asuka. You're not going to do anything wrong. It was good. Sasha Banks was in the full sort of boss heel character for it, which I think worked a lot better for the match itself. I think they needed, Survivor Series going in, it had a lot of face versus face and heel versus heel dynamics. They were struggling with it, so I think that definitely paid off in the end with this. And a surprising finish as well. A lot of the story of the match was Sasha Banks trying to get Asuka into the Banks statement, but she could only get the backstabber bit of it, and they couldn't quite get her through to the full submission until at the end it was a series of roll-ups going back and forth between the two until eventually Sasha got the better of Asuka through that in a really good, just pure wrestling exchange, which I think it worked really well for this. And so, yeah, Sasha Banks with no shenanigans from Carmella or from anyone else that we were worried about. I think the right decision again. Sasha Banks needed that victory way more than Asuka ever did. Yeah, it's the best decision going forward.
Where are my manners? A great match, by the way. Yeah, really enjoyed that. And for a match that we've seen quite a lot, I thought they made it really inventive, and including the finish, and kept both people looking strong. I say where are my manners because we've completely neglected to mention the fact that the Gobbledygooker won the 24th championship and then subsequently lost it to Akira Tozawa, who then subsequently lost it back to R-Truth, who had the title at the beginning of the night. Who could care less about this once prestigious title? It was look who was the first champion, and then it all went downhill from there. All right, Phil, you know what we're going to talk about next, mate? The 5-on-2 now. 5-on-5 elimination women's match. I don't know where you want to begin with this one, Phil.
We may as well begin with Bayley, the goddamn longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time, being the first person eliminated in this match by, your favourite at least, Peyton Royce, with her fantastic finisher at least. So at least she got that back in there. But yeah, complete shock first victory, going over to the Raw team. And then it just all went a little bit mad.
Well, yeah.
Because Natalya happened.
There was a bit backstage before this match with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler just bollocking Lana and saying, do not get involved. We're not even tagging her in. And then she got involved in the match for a bit.
Yeah.
Then tagged out, and they bollocked her some more. She looked like she was going to cry, and then she just stood on the steps halfway down looking a bit mardy, basically. That was about it for the entirety of the match.
A long time. A really long time.
It was insane that Peyton Royce hit that beautiful spinning brainbuster on Bayley and got the first elimination. We couldn't believe that. What we could believe, though, Phil, was what happened next. And Natalya, Peyton Royce, take it from there.
Hey, Natalya tried, didn't she? She tried. They were doing some wrestles, and she was gonna. Well, it looked like she was trying to get her into the sharpshooter, except she had her legs in the wrong place to do the sharpshooter. So, like, Peyton Royce's legs were wrapped around her legs, but then also put into her legs. So I don't know if this was meant to happen or not. I don't know. She tried to grab her arms to turn it into some kind of weird reverse surfboard kind of deal. Then she just dropped her by accident, flat on her face, out of all of the submission, completely all gone wrong. And then she just gave up on everything and just got her in an actual sharpshooter and tapped her out. And then straight away afterwards, Natalya decided to put the sharpshooter onto someone that was blatantly, I emphasize blatantly, not the legal person in the match.
And I'm fairly certain it was the person who is a legit former MMA fighter in Shayna Baszler. Maybe not a good idea to do that, like you say, while someone else is actually in the ring. Lacey Evans just stood there, and he's quite famous for having one thing that can KO people. That's what she did. Just punched Natalya and won and eliminated.
Honestly, you thought Natalya having to go through 4 different matches, losing 3 times, and finally beating Tamina to get into this match was bad. This just makes it that much worse. Absolutely
so bad,
ridiculous. So yeah, Lacey Evans beat her with the punch, obviously, and then Shayna Baszler got Ruby Riott in the Kirifuda clutch, and then I think Liv Morgan eliminated Lacey Evans. I can't even remember how, and then Nia Jax eliminated Liv Morgan, which led us to the finish.
Well, yeah, just quickly, the Ruby Riott one as well, she effectively had Shayna Baszler pinned.
Oh, yeah.
The referee distracted himself with something. So Ruby Riott passed out in the Kirifuda clutch, and the referee didn't go, which it's weird. I'm picking splitting hairs here, considering what we're about to get onto.
Yeah.
He sort of looked at her, went, she's out. Then you want to pin her? Or, yeah, probably a good idea. Also, I just want to say, I came with this earlier, Natalya is not the boat, best of all time. She's the coat. She's the crappiest of all time. Okay, let's conclude by talking about that finish. Yes, Lacey Evans eliminated by Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan eliminated by Nia Jax. So it's Bianca Belair 1-on-3 against Nia, Shayna, and someone who they keep saying on commentary, well, we could discount her because she's crap, Lana. So great little sequence between Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair. They just basically did a really condensed version of all the great stuff they used to do in NXT, basically. And then Shayna catches Bianca Belair in the Kirifuda clutch and just doesn't let go. Doesn't let go when Bianca Belair gets the ropes. So Bianca Belair passes out, but Shayna Baszler gets DQ'd. And Nia Jax thinks, probably should put through a table now. Tries to do that. They brawl all around ringside. And we're going, what is going on here? Referee's getting dangerously close to a count out. And then Bianca Belair hoys Nia Jax over the barricades into where the screens and stuff are. And you think, oh, great. Shayna and Nia Jax is going to get counted out, and it's going to be Bianca Belair versus Lana. No, Bianca Belair didn't make the count. So they both got counted out. What a stupid way to end a match and announce Lana is the best. Lana's number one. She is the sole survivor, Phil.
Yep. Oh my God, like all this table nonsense, you could tell they were thinking they were turning Lana into some weird babyface. And this, she pouted on the steps for like 20 minutes and then accidentally became the sole survivor. And you think that in any way makes her look strong or a good wrestler or a good character or a good babyface? Like, there's nothing in this that is likable at all. And yeah, just everyone involved looks like an absolute idiot. I guess Bianca Belair at least had to go through the Kirifuda clutch, being passed out and then almost being put through a table to get counted out. But it's still not a great look. This doesn't help anyone. This is bad.
Most part in this match, apart from that stupid getting counted out nonsense. And then we got to the main event of matches, I suppose. Champion versus champion. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Now, I've seen mixed criticism for this online. So I've seen some people saying it was just your archetypal slow build WWE match and then just loads of sort of finisher spamming at the end. And then or some people saying it was a really good match, except for the shenanigans and finish at the end. I really enjoyed this. It was a big old hoss battle, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. It did very much start off slow, but of course it did. They were like feeling each other out for quite a long time, and it just like devolved into like punches and just brutality. And then, but just some of the suplexes and some of the sort of athleticism that they somehow managed to get into this match when they're two goddamn massive dudes was really, really good. I loved the way it built up. I don't think it spanned loads of finishes. There was a couple of spears and a Superman punch and one Claymore kick, but that's it. And then, so yeah, I don't think they did too much or anything like that. I think they protected both of the characters really, really well, and both of them played their characters really, really well throughout it as well, which I think is the more important thing. And yeah, it built to the big finish where the referee got knocked out of the ring, and then Drew McIntyre hit the Claymore kick, and obviously there was time there to get the 1-2-3 on Roman Reigns. But in that time when the referee was out comes Jey Uso. He comes, he gets his super kicks in on Drew McIntyre. Another referee appears as if by magic into the middle of the ring. But it all boils down. It ends up with the spear and a Superman punch, I think it was, to finish it off at the end, and Roman Reigns gets the win with a bit of help from Jey Uso and a little bit of help from Drew McIntyre, walking up to Roman Reigns, who he must have watched his recent matches, and then picking up Roman Reigns and moving him towards his most private of areas and giving him an open sweep to get walloped in the nads. So I think it's Drew McIntyre. If you haven't seen his matches recently, it's your own fault at this point.
Yeah, I thought Drew accounted himself great, and I think a lot of people were concerned that having Drew lose, having just becoming WWE champion again, would sort of cut all the legs out from underneath him. That wasn't the case, in my opinion, at all. Some great spots in here. Yeah, Roman went for a spear. Drew reversed it into a Kimura at one point. Really liked that.
Some of the suplexes, the way they were throwing each other around was insane.
I think there was one point Roman went for something else, and Drew caught him in a future shock DDT. And then, he kicked out of some big moves from Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns sold the shock of that really well. And then in the end, he claymores Roman. Roman falls into the referee, takes a horrible bump into the bottom rope, by the way.
Yeah.
All the shenanigans, as Phil pointed out, happened, allowing Roman to take control and eventually get him with the old standing guillotine thing. And Drew just sort of collapses and there's no tap out. There's no,
of course, forgot about that.
Arm drop thing anymore. It's just, he's out. And so Roman Reigns is declared the winner. He stands tall. He hugs Jay, who he'd earlier bollocked for losing the match at the top of the ramp. And we think, oh my God, is Miz going to cash in? No. Anticlimactic, which I think is a fair assessment of what happened after that. Like, it was an occasion. They brought out loads of legend and the Godwins to celebrate, and Shane McMahon to celebrate the Undertaker. They all buggered off whilst a montage played, and then Vince introduced him. Taker took an age to get down to the ring, drank in the artificial chants they were piping in, cut a promo he's cut about 3 or 4 times on anniversary shows about resting in peace, and then left. I don't know. I feel like I should feel more emotional about all this. And I've seen people who are reflecting that online. Some people who would genuinely like, this is such a sad moment. Is it just, am I being too cynical here that I'm like, I don't think this is the end? Because it like you said, it didn't feel the same without having the fans there. As much as you're piping in, thank you, Taker, and, rest in peace and what have you. It's not the same, is it? And I get it. And you even said yourself as well that if he wants to call it there, absolutely fair enough after 30 years. But this will not be my abiding memory of the farewell, like again, we were talking about this before, like the farewell of Ric Flair, for example. Yeah,
totally. It felt like this is just a victim of the no crowd era. If this was in front of a crowd, I think would have elevated it to no end. And they tried, like they had thank you Taker chants, they had like all that kind of thing, but it was to the point where the Undertaker was pausing in what he was saying to allow the crowd to do their chants, which is what you'd do if there was a crowd, but there isn't a crowd. It's just someone pressing a button on a thing going, thank you Taker now, which makes it just feel so much weirder. And he was looking around the arena, which didn't even show the faces of the people in the Thunderdome. It just showed like gravestones and like lightning and like Undertaker stuff. So as a package, like as an entrance, it all looked amazing. It was brilliant and all that. But as a moment, it just fell a little bit short because it should have been that moment of the crowd saying literally, thank you, Taker. Like, this is the end. If he did want to end it there, it's 30 years. It's an obvious bookend for a career. Even if you wanted to do it without a crowd, I could understand that as a thing, because the crowd is the thing that would make you want to come back. And if you're fighting against your own instincts to come back, then I could see saying goodbye in an empty crowd would be a useful thing. But it took up 35 minutes. The entrances before, like they had everyone come out, Rikishi, like all those people, and they did nothing with them. Absolutely, they'd never even said one word on a microphone. It was just a bunch of entrances, and there's like a nice 10-minute video package, and then the Vince thing, and then the Undertaker thing. It just, none of it fit, none of it gelled quite well together. But I can only think if I'm still saying if this is the final farewell for the Undertaker, he's goddamn earned to go out however he wants to go out. It's been 30 years, and he's been amazing throughout all of that. So if this is the way he wants to do it, fair play to him, 100%. I am like on board with that. Just felt a bit weird. But there's always going to be the Hall of Fame moment. That's going to be another thing to come. Like, this isn't going to be the last we see of The Undertaker in a WWE ring at all.
Just a couple of questions as we wrap up here. Do you think that, sort of akin to the main event, that it suffered from fantasy booking? So many people have fantasy booked a cash in from The Miz, for example, and so many people had booked The Fiend coming out and attacking him, that when that sort of didn't happen, and it was just a nice farewell, which we also should mention, had a lovely tribute to Paul Bearer, a hologram moment, which I thought was a lovely touch.
Yeah.
Does it suffer as a result of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that whole of expectations of what people think is going to happen. If something with The Fiend happened at it, I think people would be talking about it a lot more than they are now. But that's just because there's some hope for something else in the future. But I think all of this Survivor Series, like the whole thing ended in 3-3 to SmackDown and Raw, which is as much as I wanted you to give me loads of pasties, I would have preferred just to have Raw win, because then at least someone won from this unnecessary pay-per-view that's taken up loads of TV time.
As Brian Alvarez was alluding to on Twitter, they weren't even scoring it. It's one of the things where, well, let's put on red and blue T-shirts, and tomorrow night on Raw, none of this is going to really matter. Maybe AJ Styles will make something good out of it because he was team captain, and obviously Lana's going to get put through a table for the 10th week in a row. 1 week longer than Raw Underground, of course. But yeah, it's like you say, there's nothing riding on it. It's no titles on the line, none of that. What was your match of the night then?
I would say the Drew versus Roman for me was match of the night. I really, really enjoyed it. I think the slow build to the just insane athleticism from people of that size doing it.
You mentioned the exploding table, and then attempts, and then it was through the barricade. Cole shouted through the wall, but I don't know what was going on there.
Got to big it up as much as you can. But yeah, I really enjoyed it as a main event. I think those two played their characters really well. It worked within the storyline. I think that's more that they can go back to in some point in the future. Drew looks good coming out of it as well in a losing effort, and Roman obviously looks like the king coming out of it. So yeah, I think that would be my match of the night.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. As much as it did fall into some WWE tropes, I loved it.
Yeah.
Some good matches, like that we said. Sasha and Asuka really enjoyed. The tag match, as we anticipated, was great. The elimination matches, not so much. Do let us know your thoughts, though, on Survivor Series and The Undertaker's final farewell in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and Michael Hamfler are off to go and record that now and go into lots more detail for Survivor Series 2020. And our Raw preview will be on there, of course, tomorrow. You can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions for in the news tomorrow morning at What Culture WWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Phil Chambers at
Fill My Chambers.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. You can follow us all at What Culture WWE, as I said. But this has been Survivor Series 2020. What went down? My thanks to Phil. Thank you for joining us, and we will rest in peace.
See what you did there.
Yeah.